Hello and welcome to our first ever deep dive. So, not sure if that's going to be the full name that we're going to stick to, but basically we're going to be diving deep into RWBY today, in particular Volume 7. I'm Vincent Baker. To my left I have
Rachel Pogwaga.
And then to my right...
That's how you say it. I'm still Zach. That's how you say your name?
Yes.
Alright.
It's been a year.
So, that's who we are. So with this new format of deep diving, we're going to discuss what brought us into the show, how we feel about the show, and then we're going to start getting into the weeds about the good, the bad, and the weird, discussing what we liked and didn't like about the show, and then we'll do our review, and then we'll do our closing thoughts. So with that, Rachel, what got you into RWBY, and how did you feel about it?
Well, I started watching RWBY after the black trailer came out, so before the yellow trailer. I was a really big Rooster Teeth fan, really big Red vs. Blue fan, so when I saw that they were coming out with an anime and it was super stylized, I was like, boom, yes, I'm into this. So that's how I got started.
Alright, Zach?
Oh, me. I Rooster Teeth through Achievement Hunter. Saw that they made an anime type deal. Saw that the final episode for Volume 1 was out, and then started the whole thing on, and I was sunk in.
Alright, cool. So for me, I watched Red vs. Blue in middle school when it was kind of, I think, season 3. But I don't think I ever really connected that when they made RWBY, I did not see any of that. So yeah. I didn't even know RWBY existed for probably years after it released. And when I saw it, I saw a lot of pictures of these gangster-looking people, Torchwick's people, and I was like, I don't know if that's my thing. So I stayed away from. I had no idea that had fantasy elements. Yeah. I had no idea it was his own world. I had no idea that there's grim fairy tales.
Him being Monty.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, for RWBY.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that RWBY had so much fantasy in it, or else I probably would have watched it much sooner. So I didn't start watching RWBY until. Let's see, I think Volume 5 was already out by the time I watched RWBY. And so I got into it very late, and I heard that the beginning was really rough, and you have to get through it because things were just, it was they were oh, it's one person, it looks rough, all this stuff. I fell in love with RWBY from Volume 1. I could tell, it was, not the largest production or whatever, but I could see the charm in it. I could see I like the humor, I like the characters, I love the world building. I actually love Volume 1, and as I continued through it,
your love stayed there. It kind of fluctuated.
Yeah, I felt the charm was kind of dying down as the animation went up.
Well, it's because it started off with so much potential and all these wonderful characters, and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be built up, and we're going to understand everybody better. And then they just kept on introducing more people, kicking out those people, adding in more people. So all the potential that was there at the beginning, they never actually grew up and developed. They just kind of switched it out for other things. Okay. So that's why it kind of felt better at the beginning, I think.
But if you're watching this and you're thinking oh wow, I was not prepared for someone to trash my dear favorite RWBY Volume 7, I think that we have a wide range of perspectives.
Yeah.
Zach's loved every volume, I'm pretty sure, and he's
Volume 3 made me go what the fuck?
he stayed a hardcore fan all the way through. Yeah. I don't want to say hardcore because I feel I'm a hardcore fan, but I feel
well, you bought more stuff than I have.
I feel more hurt. It's when you have a child and you try to raise them correctly, and then they start getting into. You're okay, well, they're marijuana. I'd rather you not, and then they get then they get into cocaine, and you're please, why are you doing this? Okay, maybe that's a bad analogy, but
the gateway drugs. Dare taught us well.
But yeah, so Rachel and I have wavered a bit throughout the series.
Well,
and
I'll say I have I'm not the big spectrum this volume sucked. I've loved every volume. There's some there's obviously a ranking system on the ones that I like more and those that I don't. Volume 6 I felt was really a grind to get through, and I still watched it all the way. Really enjoyed it, but it was one of those things where if you compare 6 and 7, they're polar opposites because of just about every single episode of 7 has a lot of action into it, and then Volume 6 there's just some where they're literally walking in a forest, and it's
I think it's more of they're willing the willingness to continue and more of like the internal struggle for
Yeah.
that one. Even though they've all kind of come together again and it's supposed to be like a little bit more uplifting in that sense, it was like kind of like an emotionally draining experience.
Okay, so I feel like this will be very telling. Doing the best you can, rank your favorite volumes from your favorite to least favorite. I'll start with Rachel.
It's been a long time. I'd say like maybe the second volume, because I feel like we kind of got more into the world a little bit. We were still at Beacon. I don't know. I feel like I really got to be around the characters a lot more.
And it has the best scene, which is the food scene.
The food fight.
Yeah.
Food fight, and I also love the John dance at
Yes,
the end.
the dance scene.
Oh, when he's in the dress.
Yes.
Yes. It just like gives you so many warm, like good, happy feelings,
Yeah.
and I don't know. And we also got to see them kind of grow more as a team and get their combo moves together. And I don't know. I really enjoyed that season a
Okay,
lot.
so season 2 is your top, then.
Yes.
Okay, then which one?
Oh, and
Yeah,
like
I say we just.
in order. For
I say
all
we just do
seven?
the first one, your
And
top favorite and your least favorite. How
Oh,
about
and
that
then
way?
least favorite.
That way we're not spending a lot of time talking.
I'd
about
like to say, like, as a second place, I like season 5 when they're all kind of like separated because once again we kind of got to see and learn a little bit more about the characters. And then my least favorite, I'd have to say 7. Like,
Really?
there were some bad decisions made.
Okay. So for me, I already know my favorite. So my favorite's 2, same as Rachel, and then it's probably 1 or 3. It's tough for me to choose between those. They're very different, but I feel like they still had the heart of the show. So it's 1 or 3, and then the other, and then it's probably 7.
7 is your
the 4th favorite.
Okay.
And then it's probably 6,
Okay.
and then it's probably 4, then 5.
Okay.
So
See,
so Rachel and I have a lot in common with this, but a lot that's different too.
my favorite actually is 3,
Okay.
which I know some people were really mixed about, but I loved it because you actually saw character growth, you saw a lot. It was actually seen the true darkness of how the world can get with. By the way, spoilers for Volume 3, which came out 4 years ago.
We're going to be spoiling
I mean, if they're
everything.
watching
So,
Volume 7, they've obviously
Yeah.
volume
we're
three.
spoiling everything.
with Penny, with Pyrrha killing Penny, and Pyrrha, thinking that she killed an actual person, not a robot. Then spoiler, she comes back in 7, which is awesome.
Okay.
But then Pyrrha dying, and then we saw Ruby's like eyes, and then the whole story the whole timeline with her dad and everything. Not the timeline, but like the closing things with her dad and Yang, and it's like, holy cow! I really enjoy that because you had the full spectrum of. There was a lot of funny moments, and then it's like,
a really good volume. It's definitely one of the deepest and darkest, but it's a really good one.
Yeah,
And
that one's
isn't
my
that the
favorite.
volume where we meet Winter and we meet Crow for the first time too?
Yes,
in
and that's a
Volume
great and we wait Winter.
3. Yeah, Weiss's
Yeah.
sister.
Oh, Weiss's sister. That's right. My bad. Because
You are a true RWBY fan.
I'm just like the hot one. Yes. And there was that great fight scene between both her and Crow.
I
which
hated that scene. Actually.
I thought it was funny as hell.
Well, because like we're started off with this thing where like, oh, magic isn't real. You aren't superhumans, and then they're like somehow like flying around and doing like these superhuman jumps on the walls and like kind of moving fast like that. I mean, sometimes Winter did use her like little launch pad things to kind of help her, but then there were times like when she was literally like almost flying through the air.
Okay,
and I
so
was like,
basically
that's
we
stupid.
have a drastically different interpretation of our favorite to least favorite.
And then my least favorite is 6.
6. Okay. So this is mostly about Volume 7, so let's go ahead and dive into that.
Yes.
I just wanted you to have a background of where we're coming from, which is vastly different
By
as
the
far as
way,
our favorite volumes
Can
to
I
least
make the
favorite.
comparison that 3 and 7 have very similar
They do.
feelings where the beginning is like kind of upjoy, beatful, great. The ending's like, what the fuck? Because at the end, spoiler again, of 7, it's Salem is coming in on this giant grim, and it's like, what the fuck?
Okay, so we're going to focus just talking about the things that we liked about this volume. So
Yes.
even if it's your least favorite, maybe there's still something that you're like, I like that they did this.
Yeah.
I wrote down some things I like. I think the visuals and the lighting in this volume look the best they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it because it does show like how Remnant is truly a like earthbound type or Earth planet where there's a city that's in the winter a lot and it's very snowy, but you don't get the snow because of the heat, and then the power gets cut out.
Yeah, I like the whole deal where like they need the heat and they have like the vents everywhere. I think the Aesops are cool overall. I'm not like in love with like all those characters or anything, but I think overall, like I think that they did a fine job personally. I think the fishing rod as a weapon's pretty cool.
That was really cool.
I think that getting Christopher Wakamp to voice Clover was cool, who was the voice of Aizawa in My Hero Academia.
Oh,
yeah.
Why didn't I
Who's
notice
Aizawa?
that?
Wait.
The Eraserhead.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard of him yet.
Yeah, you have. He's the guy that wears the scarves around his head with the long.
Oh,
beard.
yeah, never mind.
He also voices the lieutenant in Fire Force.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
yeah, so that's cool. Let's see. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I like the guy who reminds me of Dazlum from Street Fighter. He stretches his like hand.
Oh
things.
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I think some of the new Grim were cool to see. Like you mentioned the giant whale Grim. There's also like the centipede things that like burrow out of the ground and stuff. So some cool new Grim. Dug
A lot of those can I say remind me of like those monsters from Darlie and the Frank.
Yeah, I can see that. Also, we had an acquaintance of mine, Inaris, who has voiced a character in Otherworlds, is Harriet in RWBY.
Yeah.
So she's she's hired by Rooster Teeth and Funimation now, and so congratulations to Inaris. I told her, I said, you probably don't remember me and like Inaris and stuff. Or I said, you probably don't remember me. I didn't even mention Inaris. I was like, you probably, or Alessia is the character's name. I was like, you probably don't remember me, but, we worked together, and I just, congratulations, all that stuff. She's like, Vincent, I could never forget working with you. And Alessia, she was absolutely amazing. So shout out to you, Inaris. You're really cool. I like the guy's wheelchair with the legs. I thought that was cool. Like, how it moves around. I don't know how it I don't know if it senses his brain. I don't know how it moves the way he wants to, but it's still really cool. The new intro and the music and stuff.
Yes.
It's not my like top favorites, but I'm pretty much probably always going to be on board as long as they continue having is it Cassie or Casey?
Casey Williams and Jeff Williams.
I mean, the first couple slapped so hard.
They did.
This one was just like.
Yeah, I don't think it's better than those, and I'll give you that. But I think
it's still strong.
I still think it's strong, and I still feel like I feel like it's so true to RWBY to keep those artists that the only way I'm going to give them a downward vote on the music probably is if they change artists, because I feel like that'd be a huge mistake. I can see someone wanting them to have like more variants, and they do incorporate. There's a male singer that they have in Ironwood's fight with Watts.
Oh yeah, that was actually a good song. I like.
Yeah, that's and so what's funny about that? There's an actual guy on YouTube who does vocal covers, and that was him. He did a vocal cover with featuring Casey Williams of her own song.
What?
Yeah, and so they worked together, and that got him in the door to be featured in RWBY.
That was like the best fight scene, by the way.
It's a really good fight scene.
Yeah, really good.
I am a fan of Penny returning. I could see some people not liking it because they might think it takes away of like the death in the show and stuff like that.
But she was also
I've been wondering, I was like, why haven't they brought Penny back? Like every single season that she's not been there, I'm like, she was a robot. Why haven't they brought her back?
Yes, thank you.
So to me, I was like, finally.
Well, I figured the reason why was because they mentioned, like RWBY mentions when she meets Penny, she says, you have a soul. So I always thought that she couldn't be brought back because she even though she's a robot, she had a soul and they couldn't get her soul back. But they explained that by the end.
Where it's a piece of his.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that.
Salutation. Boom.
I will say though, when they first meet Penny, I was a little disappointed that the only emotions pretty much came from RWBY, and I wish we had seen kind of like, I knew that RWBY had the closest connection, but I still feel like the others, it would be nice to see that they were like at least affected on some level and be like, oh, it's so nice to see you, Penny.
They thought that she was dead.
Yeah, well, and I think
gone forever.
And I think one thing that kind of shows why they didn't is, you said it, was RWBY had the close bond with her, had gone on some adventures with her.
Still, if somebody that I was relatively close with had a traumatic death, and then I saw that person again, I don't care how.
Yeah, but none of them really had a close relationship.
You don't need a close.
You don't need a close relationship to freak out when you see somebody who you thought
really
was brutally
especially
murdered.
if you saw it on TV where they were ripped apart. It's like, and then you see them.
It really.
I think they were more. I think a big thing too is they were more shocked. Like, wait, what?
I think it was just a little.
Because that was me. I was like, wait a minute, what?
I mean, we'll move on from that.
No,
but we all disagree.
Yeah. And I wrote this list as I was watching the show, so these kind of come in a certain order. But whether or not you agree with the final choices, I like that Ironwood had some complexities to his character.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. So even if you disagree with things that happened with him, I do think that it was cool to see more of his character.
Something else I kind of liked about Ironwood was, like, it kind of further puts in this Wizard of Oz lore for it, with him being the Tin Man and kind of, you know, struggling with finding a heart in his decisions.
Yeah, no, that's really clever and really cool. Because we already saw the lion guy, Leon, was a coward. And that's what he defaulted to. In Ironwood, you can tell he has a heart, which is interesting, but whenever he tries to use his empathy or use his heart, he sees things going wrong, like terribly wrong, and he's like, well, this is because I'm being emotional. Which, I mean, it does happen that way for him. It's kind of like coincidentally happened that way, where it's like, oh man, like that really sucks, because it seems like you're making the right choices, but anytime he makes like the right choices, things go horribly wrong. I also liked when they had like this whole murder mystery set up, and it made Ironwood look more suspicious and more like he's like right out the gate. You kind of have that suspicion that Ironwood is the main bad guy, and he's not. Like this whole time, he's like proving himself. And then at the very end, he kind of is. So it's like
wow. That's because he was like pushed into it.
Yeah, but it's cool that they did that. Where like at the beginning, it's like, no, I'm good. Like, they kept reiterating, like, I'm good. I'm a good guy.
That tricked some people because you kept saying that that you felt like he was going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I brought that up to Zach, and Zach's like, no, he's not going to be the bad guy. I was like, he's going to be the bad guy. Well, the whole time he's like, no, I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah, and then because then you know when that finally happened, he was the bad guy. Like, oh shit, Vincent was right. But let me ask you this: did your thoughts on that change at all throughout the season before you found that he truly was the bad guy?
They did. That's why I liked it, because I was like, well, maybe he's not. And the fact that they could do that for me, I appreciate, because I went back and forth on it, and the fact that I didn't know outright. I mean, I did guess at the very beginning, but the fact that I questioned myself over and over is something I appreciated.
I wouldn't say that he's so much of a bad guy as much as somebody who
antagonist,
can't be
but not a
in
villain.
the gray zone. Like, he's like somebody who doesn't see it in the middle. It either is or it isn't. And he tried to be on the good side, and then he got pushed in the gray zone. He was like, I can't be this, so I have to choose. And then it just
I was going to say that he's not a bad guy in the sense that he would try to kill the team, but at the same time, he did shoot Oscar.
Yeah.
So maybe he did shoot a kid. So maybe
I self-defense. What can I say?
It was not self-defense.
Well.
Self-defense. You're just standing there. Okay.
Only my
Stand
friends.
down.
Only my friends call me James. That was a cool line.
That was a good. Yeah. That was a good.
I like that. There's a ship that looked like an X-wing, so that was cool.
Is that from the Star Wars?
Now I will say that there's a quote that Weiss has that says that we're not friends, we're family.
Oh, true.
And I love that moment, but it's kind of contradicted later because Penny mentions to not Penny. Nora mentions to, I think it's Penny. She says, oh, well, Blake and Yang are definitely more than friends because they're very close, even though Weiss said earlier that they're close and they're family.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird little contradiction there. I love the little new pop-up animations where that, like, there's like, they only happen a couple times, but like Penny, I think, said like salutations or congratulations or something that like freeze framed and that pop up.
I like that.
And then so I love the way that those look. I'm a fan of it in Borderlands. I'm a fan of it here.
So going back to the family thing with Weiss. At the end, when she abandons Winter tells her to basically, hey, go, and then she still calls for backup. Do you feel like she still has the love of her as a family member?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
I mean, she is also just somebody who's really dedicated to Atlas, though, and at the end of the day, like, she's kind of been on that journey since she, like, left her house. Yeah. But she still cares for Weiss a lot.
By the way, Winter really hot with long hair. Just gotta say.
A lot of people
Winter is so beautiful.
A lot of people said, please, Winter, please, Rooster Teeth, do not put her hair back up. Keep it down. Even with the black eye. It's like, so yeah, I think people could hate Winter as a character, but I think that I think she's at least written well, because I think the decision that she makes at the end fits in line with her character. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which that's what I asked for from a show. I'm okay with characters making crazy decisions. I just want them to make crazy decisions that I feel like are justified by that character's own logic.
Mm-hmm. And she'll be able to look out for her sister, I think, as somebody on the inside. You know? If they try to come after them, she'll also have her sister within best interest and maybe be able to protect her in that way.
They make a nod about Ironwood giving like great speeches, but then whenever he tried to end the speech, he's like terrible at giving outros, and they mentioned as a joke. They only did that one time, but I thought that was really funny.
That was a good nod.
I love the training montages. I thought those were really cool.
They were really good, yeah.
Team Funky.
Yeah, and seeing Team... I actually wrote that down too.
Funky.
And we got to see their other two team members, because I don't believe before we ever saw them.
We only saw
it was on
Trumpet and Neo.
Yeah, and then so they were colorful looking. They looked kind of funky, so that was cool.
Which, by the way, going back to that in Volume 3,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they came from Atlas, and people are like, oh, they're going to be like these strapping, suit tie type, and then you get them, it's just like, what? Because that's what Weiss even said. Because that's what Weiss says. Like, oh, they came from Atlas, which means they're going to be strong and be very mono, blah blah blah. Yeah, and then they show up and there's Neo with her cattail and the rainbow, and then the dude with the trumpet. It's like, what the?
Yeah, I like the danger room. Like I like seeing the montage training. I like seeing them fighting in that room.
That was a good one.
I like Tyrion's massacre where he was like killing people and they framed Penny because it put Penny in position that like Hero was in.
That was pretty, stupid, though, that scene, oh my god, because they were saying, Faunus, a lot of Faunus have, night vision, and there was, a lot of Faunus there, and it's so conveniently, all the Faunus that weren't there don't have night vision. Also, why doesn't, I noticed in a video that somebody posted, they're like, why doesn't Penny have, a flashlight on her if she has, night vision? You think, if she's supposed to be a savior, that she would perhaps maybe, have a floodlight on her to turn on in those circumstances? And then also, they're, in the same video that I watched, they're like, how is that not suspicious that we have this, hooded man standing in the front at this, election party, and, nobody's saying anything? And I was like,
okay, so I think all of those are valid points.
Hold on, one second. So, I thought about this. How come Penny didn't have, a shoulder flashlight like Cyborg from Teen Titans?
That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's we've seen this before, but then it pokes holes in the story. So, yeah.
Well, I don't like the idea. I do like things to be explained.
Yes.
I don't like them to just be...
No,
but I will try my best to... I think those are good points that I had not considered, especially the Faunus point, I think is a really good one.
Yeah.
So the only things I could think of is there have been times in real life history that there will be people at an event, something will happen, and certain people there or will see certain things go down a certain way, but the overall story that gets reported on the media is different than what those people saw with their own eyes.
Yeah.
So it's possible. Now I will say though that the show should have addressed this.
Yes.
But it's very possible that there were Faunus that saw what was going on. They're just humans. They're just civilians. So they go in and fight and try to defend or do anything. They may have tried to speak up on behalf of Penny or whatever, but the overall media gets so crazy when it publicizes something, especially since they had doctored footage of Penny going around massacring people. If you were to be at that place and tell them, no, I saw with my own eyes there's this hooded guy with a tail that was killing people, people are like, no, there's footage right here. So I do think it was a negative point for the show to not address that, because that is a very logical point to have, saying that these people can see in the dark, because they also address in the same season that being a Faunus allows you to see in the dark, because they tell Blake to go check something out, and they're like, oh, well, you have the night vision because you're Faunus. Yeah. So I think it can be explained away, but I don't like having to try to come up with explanations. I'd rather the show do it.
Robin Hood's group is majorly Faunus, so you think as a part of that they would be like, oh no, Robin, I just
true.
Saw
yeah, I know that. There's two that are Faunus, right? It's
there's that
Marrow
girl, and then there's a
oh
guy.
yeah, she is part of there. Yeah, I do think that's the strongest argument against it. As far as the lights, I think it would make sense for Penny to have lights. We never seen her have lights, so honestly, what that could have been is the military told the Geppetto guy, I can't remember his name, they told him, hey, you need to make a combat bot to be able to fight Grimm, so he's just not thinking about traffic lights and lighting and stuff like that. It's okay, well, she's gonna have missiles and lasers. So maybe his mind was just dedicated and focused on combat with Grimm and stuff.
Yeah.
I think she was made with the second time around to be the protector of Atlas. Though.
Yeah, she was.
True, but
protecting from Grimm attacks and fighting and stuff.
By the way, you think to rescue people you would need stuff like a floodlight or something like that.
let's say this too. Penny is now the Winter Sister.
What's up?
Winter Maiden?
That one, yes. Words are hard.
Yeah, I feel like...
That's interesting.
No offense, that was kind of a dick move from Penny, because she was right in front of Winter, and she's holding her, and she was like, what's your name? And then she was looking back and forth should I? I don't know.
I think
Penny.
I think part of that was if I try to get Winter in front of the maiden to inherit this power, she's currently being attacked by Cinder, and it might fall into Cinder's hands. Is the way I viewed it.
But Penny was more capable to take on Cinder than Winter was at that point, so she could have given her the Winter Maiden and then taken Cinder on head.
That is true.
She also was across the room. It's not like she was like.
She has like jets.
I will say I do think she could have flown over in time. She does have jets in her feet and everything, but I also think it was something where that maiden, like, she could have jetted over to Winter, and as soon as she did that, lady could have died looking over at Cinder. Like, she could have been like,
true.
Yeah. So I think Penny was trying to calculate every single thing that could happen, but it's all happening so much and so fast that she just. I think maybe if she could give it like time and thought about it, I think she would have given it to Winter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just that she was so under pressure, and with everything going on, she's like, this can't fall into Cinder's hands. I know Winter should have it. I don't think Penny necessarily wanted it. I think it was I think Penny just was like, I would rather take it guaranteed than to give Cinder any chance of getting it. Because if Cinder got it, imagine how much people would hate Penny if like Penny like maybe tried to give it to Winter, but because of like a mistake Penny made, it ended up going to Cinder or something. It's like, man, Penny, you really screwed up.
But now Atlas is kind of like defenseless because they're like, oh, we have the Winter Maiden and we'll be fine. But now it's just like, nah,
she's
we're
bye.
going.
Slater.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what Ironwood does because he lost Penny, who did protect Atlas, and he lost the Winter Maiden.
Oz is back too.
But the Winter Maiden is what focused some of the attacks on them in the first place.
Yes.
So maybe it will draw attention away from them to not have the Winter Maiden.
Yes.
Though it is a terrible idea to have the whole city floating up because of an artifact that people are searching for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that city is totally going to fall. Like, and like people are going to die. And also I like this line, and I heard someone online saying that they hated this line because I was trying to find reviews online. I couldn't, but the first time I laughed out loud was when Weiss goes to arrest her dad. She's like, you know, you're under arrest, and she like looks back. She's like, wait, can I do that? I thought it was very funny.
That was
I
a
liked
good
it.
one. That was a good one.
This guy online was complaining, saying it was very stupid because she should know, because she's like a straight A student and all stuff. She should know like the inner workings of being a hunter and huntress.
I feel like that is a weird predicament that most people would not know what to do.
No, I agree. So she's in a different continent, different area. She was just given a license by Ironwood, who his power has been fluctuating between whether or not he's in charge or not. And yeah, there's a lot of weird, intricate systems there. So I think that she probably knows that she can do it, but she has like that little hint of doubt, which to me, I laughed a lot about it because I feel that all the time. Like there's a lot of times where I will be like 99% certain, but I'm like, but am I 100% certain?
Yeah.
So I dug it.
I feel like that scene was kind of just like rushed though. And then the introduction of having her mother there just kind of was like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt weird about seeing her mom. Maybe we were supposed to feel uncomfortable with that. I'm not entirely sure.
It was a weird scene.
I didn't get the part of like trying to develop her brother more if she's just going to leave him behind. Because like that was kind of like the guilt trip is like, oh, you know, maybe your brother's this way because he's all by himself with me and your dad. And that's like not too great. So he ends up alone at the end anyway. So I don't see what would be the point of guilt tripping us if that's just going to be scrapped anyways.
I think it's to add more perspective on it because it'd be easier to just be like, it'd be easier to write him off as a bad guy, like, oh, there's no help for that boy, he's a brat. But like just having the other perspective of like, hey, just so you know, he might not end up this way if you were to give him more attention. Like you left him with his father, so he's going to emulate his dad.
I think I would have not minded though if he ended up somehow going with them at the end.
But I think us as the audience doesn't want to see that.
No.
I would like to see a redemption for the little brother.
He's a little asshole.
Well, we still might see it. Just because it didn't pay off in this volume doesn't mean it won't pay off next volume.
True, we could always come back to Atlas and he might be a different person.
Yeah, or maybe because someone might have to take over his father's business.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And his, I don't know, it might be interesting to see the mom and him kind of like maybe grow together more. I don't know, with his father gone now, because it seems like the mom was just kind of staying in because she was afraid of the dad.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this stays this way, but at the beginning I noticed this a lot, and I either stopped paying attention to it or they fixed it. But they had Weiss's rapier on the wrong side. They would have it where she'd hold it left-handed, but it was on her left-handed side, so she'd have to pull it like this, as opposed to this, or she would have to pull it like that and then throw it to this hand. which is, I mean, it's not a big deal.
I've
It's
never
just
thought about that before.
yeah. Yeah, I don't really have
Too many contradict or bad things.
no, because this was explained later. So I had something that was written bad, but it ended up getting explained later. So I'm okay with that. So was there anything else that was good that you liked about it?
Neo is my favorite character. Well, Weiss is my favorite character. Neo is my favorite villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as all the reiterations of the outfits, I thought hers was the best because it kept to her true kind of Neapolitan ice cream color scheme, and I feel like a lot of other people have kind of strayed away from their their colors, so I was really happy to see her again. She's still kicking ass, and I just can't help but wonder, if she got one of the maiden powers, she would be undefeatable. She would be able to beat Cinder for sure.
Yeah, some people were complaining that she beat all of Team Ranger, but she didn't necessarily beat them. She just managed to hold them all off and escape the way she was meant to.
I mean, she took all those people on though.
Yeah, and she also
so cool.
and she took on Cinder pretty well, and Cinder has maiden powers. So Neo is much stronger than people give her credit for. I feel
amazing.
So Neo is really cool. And back to the points. What do you guys think of the outfits in general for this volume?
I like them. There's a lot of changes.
But do you like them or do you like them more?
That one's hard. And here's why I say it. A lot of times when I compare stuff like that is when there's been an equal amount of screen time for them. So volumes 1 through 3, 4 through 6 have the same amount of screen time.
Sure.
Like the OG Blake I like the secondary Blake over the OG Blake, but I still like a lot of and Blake and Yang's, but I still like Ruby's and Weiss's outfits more than the second session. This one I'm still having a hard time. I do really like them, but it's going to be probably another 1 or 2 watch throughs for me to officially say which ones I like more than XYZ. I do like them. It's not like they're bad. They are really good. They're made really well. The biggest changes though is obviously the hair for Weiss and Blake. Yeah. I feel that's the biggest one people took away.
I don't like Weiss's new hair.
I don't either.
I like Blake's.
Yeah, well,
Blake's is fine. She looks a lot like her mom now, too.
Yeah!
The CG with it, I don't know.
I think, to me personally, and I like Zach's point about giving it a few more volumes and seeing how you feel about it, but, through watching it, I felt like the new outfits were just slightly less, I like them slightly less, but not to a point where it ruined the story.
Yeah.
Oh, also Ruby's hair changed. She now has the crow cowlick. I don't like that very much.
I think it's interesting because it's not like her hair, she didn't get it chopped off like Blake. She didn't really do a big floof like Weiss's. I think it's interesting because it's still the same length kind of deal. I'm not on the fence about it still. Like I said, I would prefer watching it a couple more times and obviously getting more screen time with it before I say whether or not
and John's hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I like that.
I
thought it was cute.
I feel mixed about it. I feel like it'd be cool to see John sometimes. And maybe
I will say it's easier for me to laugh at his character when he makes jokes.
Really?
Yeah, because it's I think he looks
more confident. And it's more like he's saying the joke rather than the joke is him.
And the moms want him.
Yeah, that was funny.
Come on, little one, here's the casserole.
So it's your least favorite volume, Rachel. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you actually really liked about this volume?
I really liked Penny's new reiteration with her outfit as well.
Again, the hair really interesting.
I preferred her short hair, but I'm fine. I'm not here to just judge women character haircuts, but yeah, I like Penny being here and her outfit was cool.
Yes, it is interesting.
I can't say as much as he asked me, so I'm going to continue to talk.
No, you're fine.
That was a joke, by the way. Anyways, something that I didn't I didn't care for. I know you asked me what I liked, but
well, if you can't think of anything else, it's fine.
Something that we talked about a lot was Emerald and Mercury.
They were, yeah.
Also, I felt like the main villain's kind of problem, the one that went up against Ironwood at the end. His whole deal was that he was salty that they chose the Penny design for his design to protect Atlas, and I thought that was an extremely stupid reason to switch over to the evilest side ever. It's not like he was just like, oh, I just like hate them and I'll just sabotage them on my own. He went to like literally the most evil, vindictive spirit, most powerful spirit on the planet, and was like, I'm gonna join you because
it's not just evil like in a real world sense. It's like incarnation of evil.
Yeah, and now you're like messing with like the most evil people, most dangerous people on the planet because you have some beef over like some design.
I will say this though. I think that is much larger, which is that was probably the tipping point. Is the way I would probably see it as more of a realistic take. I feel like the way I think he mentions the Iron Word. He's like, you never appreciated me. You never appreciated anything I did, and he probably didn't have a good upbringing because of that. Because it seems like it's by him saying that to me, it's like he did not get validated by anybody.
Yeah. And
he tried to get it from Ironwood. It's like he probably didn't get it at home. His parents were probably not there or like never gave him validation. They're probably like, oh, like your inventions will never be anything. And then Ironwood was like the one person that probably like took him in and was like, all right, like do this for me. And then he just scrapped everything. And it was like, I view that as more of like the tipping point more than him having like an okay life, and then that happened, and then he went evil. I think that was like his final redemption. Like that was like his final moment where he's like, "Please." Ironwood's like, "No," and we've seen that he can be callous and not really show his heart. So he probably did it in a way that wasn't very tactful and probably wasn't very empathetic to Watts. And so at that point, Watts is like, "Well, no one accepts me, no one validates me. I'm useless to everyone. I thought that this was my chance, and it wasn't." And then Salem comes in and is like, I see your potential. I see you're powerful. I see how good you are. Like, basically giving him that validation that he's always wanted. Now, I am kind of adding to that. We don't see all that
in
the show.
I think I would have maybe defended that a little bit more if we got to see the development or have any, like, traces to that.
And I do think this show should add more of those levels to things because that's what really helps the series, in my opinion. I just kind of... I didn't really think about it, but now that whenever you brought that up, that's just what came to my mind for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do start running into issues if I can't come up with something like pretty easily like that. Then I'm like, okay, this really bothers me.
You were able to come up with a really good Adam backstory that worked pretty well.
Yeah, thank you.
And they never did anything like that. So
yeah, that was one of the
one thing too we can say is that there's a lot. And
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah. You did say it like they brought in a lot of these characters and we don't see them that much. They are doing expansion stuff with spin-off shows,
the
comics,
the comics. So there's a lot more media to take in that can kind of help with that. One thing that I really enjoyed about this is that it did explore why he became a villain. And I know, like you guys said, it was like, I enjoyed it because it showed.
Ironwood?
No.
Watts.
Oh, okay.
It showed why he went to the bad side, and I thought that was really good because it actually shows that there's a reason he's there. It's not.
Well, I had a problem with Watts for a while because he was introduced volume 3, and he had and it was like he had he was not interesting at all.
Yeah.
I felt like until this volume.
Yeah. Well, I think too he got a lot more screen time and got more like lines and actions with it. It's not like he. Just sat around and he'd sipping a Cornish scotch and just sat there. No, he actually, he had a fight scene. He had a couple different fight scenes. He talked about a bunch of stuff, so he got more exposure. But I like that we got that, I don't want to say closure, but that actual, he's a villain because of X, Y, Z. He's not just a villain because he's a villain. We actually got the story about it, which I enjoy because it gives more. I think it gives more to the character than kind of like that Scorpion guy who we really don't know why.
Tyrion.
Yeah, Tyrion. Because we really don't know why he's a villain. He has. Unless I missed something, did they say why?
I think he just wants to watch the world burn, which a lot of people like to say.
Same.
So we are short on time. So Rachel, I feel like there's probably some things that you really don't like about the volume that you haven't got to talk about.
Yes.
Okay. So how about you try to summarize all that as much as possible. We'll say our little bit, and then we'll have our final thoughts.
Okay. I thought the ending was super sloppy because RWBY, they were all like, "Oh, we need to stay together. She wants us all to fight against each other. We can't do that." And then they ended up fighting against everybody, especially. I think they messed up with the Robin, Clover, and Crow fight, where they were all like seasoned huntresses or hunters, and they were like, "Oh yeah, now's the perfect time for all of us to fight against each other and let this Tyrion guy go," because nothing really got resolved. Clover died and Tyrion got away, so I thought that was honestly like really just a big dumb thing. I enjoyed seeing Clover and Crow together. I kind of shipped them, but I'm kind of tired of seeing Bumblebee kind of just like being just
the only
forced together. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really.
It's funny. He's in the show. They're kind of tired of seeing Bumblebee. Like there's moments where like Weiss is like, yeah, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah, true. They're like,
it's like
yeah,
you two make out
a movie.
So does that summarize most of the big problems you had?
Yes.
Okay. The Crow, Tyrion, Clover thing did bother me at first, but I let it. I rolled with it, and it was because like the biggest thing for that too, like I think they did it in a well enough way because Tyrion was cuffed. So when they first started fighting, it wasn't like, oh, Tyrion's getting away, we're just gonna keep fighting amongst ourselves. So at first the fighting kind of made sense, and Crow and Clover wasn't gonna fight, but Robin was like. You know, she instigated it, and then they kind of got forced into it. Then she gets knocked out, and then Tyrion gets out, and then at that point is when this was the point where it first felt the worst to me was when I thought that Crow and Clover would have made sense to to team up to go against Tyrion because he's the bigger threat, and Clover is the one that instigates and hits Crow with the thing, and so I was trying to think, okay, what is it? So I think I have an explanation there for this. And obviously it doesn't work out in their favor, and obviously they were being dum-dums. That is true.
That was a big dum-dum scene.
But here's me trying to explain it through their rationale, which is Crow and Tyrion, they made the decision to team up on Clover. And at first I was like, this is absolutely stupid, but I was thinking of it this way. I think that the show tries to acknowledge, I think Clover is the most capable fighter among all three of them. And so I think with that, if you keep that in mind, as opposed to seeing them all three as equals, then when Clover attacks Crow, who's trying to attack Tyrion, Clover probably knew that he could best, like he probably felt like if they were in the three-way fight and none of them teamed up, that he would be the one that would win and be able to defeat both of them. Okay. The only way that they could defeat Clover is by teaming up on him, which is why they even chose to team up in the first place.
I think Tyrion is actually the most dangerous and capable fighter out of the three.
Maybe. I'm just saying.
But I could see, since like Crow is like in love with Clover, how he would see like how he's the more capable fighter. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only way I could explain it. If it is statistically proven that Tyrion is the most capable, then it doesn't make. I mean, I know that Crow. I feel like Crow doesn't make the most sensible choices, and I feel like him. I mean, he basically did all that because he wanted like revenge on Tyrion anyways, to be able to fight like one-on-one and settle it, which I understand. But like I said, the decisions they all make was definitely not decisions I feel like I would make, which is and I feel like a lot of people feel that way. That's why they're annoyed by that fight. But I feel like it could be justified in character, which is why like I'm not gonna like. That's why it doesn't like ruin that for me. And honestly, it was cool seeing Tyrion and Crow team up, even though what happened because of that was terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said the fight with Ruby and Aesop's bothered you?
Yeah, because it's just like, I mean, I get that they're kind of like, no, we don't want to fight, but like, at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like that could have been.
It made me think of Marvel's Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they didn't want to fight each other, and then some of them are trying to hold back, and others aren't, and. I liked that fight. I thought the fight was great. And I think the fight scenes have improved a lot because the end of Volume 5, they have a fight scene where it's like all of Cinder's people versus like Team RWBY. And there's a lot of moments where they're fighting, but no one else is fighting in the background, or they'll just stay focused on these one-on-one fights. But in Volume 7, they really like have like camera work where it like follows characters and it shows them interacting. Mm-hmm. Fights are a lot more dynamic. This volume also has 2 additional writers added to the team.
Wow.
And so I think that's why I feel like the writing has improved, but yeah, I don't know. So let's go into our final review. So we'll start with Rachel, then we'll go with Zach, and then we'll end with me.
Oh.
So it's the X, Y, like never watch it if you're a fan, and then this is perfect? Is like
so there's 4. So there's X, which is never watch it, no matter if you're a fan or what. Y, which is like, it's just mediocre, and maybe you should give it a try if you're a fan, otherwise just skip it. Z is it's amazing, and then V is like close to perfection.
I'd say Y.
Okay.
I mean, it was like still something to watch at the end of the day. Like I watched the whole entire season. I think if I really hated it that much, I wouldn't have watched the whole thing. So I'm gonna say Y.
And do you think you'll watch Volume 8?
Yeah. Once again, something to watch.
This is tough because I don't. There's the good point. Everyone brings up good points about it. Though for me, I give it a V, and the big reason is it has a lot of things of like Volume 3 with it, but they're like of good point of funny scenes with it, a lot of fight scenes, a lot of dark scenes, and it gives us this big dark overtone of like, crap, what's gonna happen next? And I really like that, especially when in anime and in TV shows where it doesn't end on a always happy jolly note. It's like, oh shit's about to hit the fan, and it makes me want to get to Volume 8 right now.
Curiosity.
Yes.
You said Volume 6 is your least favorite.
Yes.
What would you have ranked that?
Probably a Y.
A Y? Okay.
Because like Rachel, I would have watched it all the way through.
Okay, and then your favorite volume was Volume 2. You would give that V?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's perfect. It's so
okay.
much fun.
Okay. Cool. So I was just wondering because I feel like that's why it's okay for us to watch. Like if you end up rating something a Y and you keep wanting to watch it, it's because you had such highs with it that's what keeps you going. So like it's that like hope that you'll see something that even comes close to that again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way. I'm gonna meet these guys in the middle. I'm gonna give it a Z. I think overall it's pretty amazing. I liked it. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think for me it's still far away enough from being perfect that I wouldn't give it a V, but I think it is. I feel like they've made the writing, the characters, bringing some of the old characters back with Team Funky and Penny, resolving some of those, adding more dynamics to some of the characters like Ironwood and Watts, and I feel like just they're in the right direction, but they still need to continue going on in that direction. So, with that being said, this is all supported by our Patreon. So, if you're a patron, thank you so much. You can check it out in the link below.
I am one.
You can check out our Discord community in which we talk about RWBY, we talk about games, we talk about anime. It's a lot of fun. Be sure to join. And thank you so much. Be sure to hang out with us, like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought about this season and what would you rate it. Thank you, and stay awesome.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. The video's over, but this was made by our Patreons.
We really appreciate what you've done for us, and we'd appreciate it if you'd continue following us further at patreon.com/Vindicated
Yeah, you guys. Be sure to check out some more of our videos, okay? Bye.
That was fun.